Hi, everyone. My name is Selena Belisle. I am the founder and one of the hot stone massage instructors here at CE Institute. I'm also the author of the cover story in Massage Magazine back in 2021 with a hot stone safety update that I wrote for the industry on how we are retiring some methods because hot stone did become the number one liability in the massage industry for medical errors and injury. People were getting burned. So the practices of hot stone massage have evolved through the years, and we do recommend reading that if you haven't already to learn some of the more updated practices. Now, you should not practice hot stone massage unless you're already trained by someone who knows updated practices, who's aware of the burns that were happening with hot stone massage and can teach you how to avoid burning your clients. There's different things that we would recommend to avoid those types of injuries. And right now, what I'm going to show you is how to set up a hot stone bath, not by using a boiling kettle, which will usually heat the outside layer of the stone and the core will remain cold, so your bath will cool. But we have a second method to heat your hot stone bath, and that's by working with water in the sink. Now, if you're in a water conservation area, this would not be an appropriate technique. And this video is really for our existing students who have taken our hot stone training with us to come back and review and refresh. If you're new to our school, you'll probably learn a few new things here, but we do highly recommend taking our hot stone training prior to practicing to ensure that you do no harm. So without further ado, let me show you how we practice heating stones and the hot stone setup and a little bit more information about hot stone massage. Again, please do not practice any of this until you have received formal training. You should be a licensed healthcare provider to provide hot stone massage. Enjoy. First, I'm going to take my pot, my bath. In this case, I'm using a crock pot. So I'll put it right here. Now, keep in mind that real stone warmers are usually glorified crock pots. They're crock pots that have had just the dial changed. It's the same machine, okay? So as long as you're using two thermometers, it's appropriate that you can use something like a crock pot as long as you're constantly monitoring the temperature and keeping the temperature within a proper operating range. Okay, also really important, that crock pot cost about $20 at Walmart, and a very similar hot stone machine is a couple $100s, right? But it's usually the same exact thing. It's just the dial is different. And it doesn't usually have the exact numbers on the dial with the professional stone warmers many times. So just make sure your two thermometers are there. So what I'm going to do, you can see that we have our crock pot, my stone warmer here. I'm going to take the lid off, and I'm also going to remove the actual liner of the crock pot, okay? You don't want to immerse the electrical machine into the sink, but the liner comes out so you can wash it. And in this case, so you can fill it with stones and heat it. Now I'm taking my white hand towel and I'm putting that at the bottom of the liner. One of the things that I've seen therapists do is they have the hand towel on the sides, which makes the stones easier to find. But when you have that hand towel going over the sides of the liner, the water actually drips over the sides, and that becomes a safety hazard. When you have water on the floor, you can slip and fall, or your client might slip and fall if they land on it. So we're just going to put the towel in the bottom of the liner. Now I have my large placement stones here. Okay, you know those are the placement stones because look at the size of a working stone or a palm stone. Those are much smaller. They fit in your palm. Your placement stones do not. Okay, we're going to put our placement stones in an area that I'm going to find them together, and I'm standing them up. Okay, and now I'm going to take my palm stones, which do fit in my hand, and I'm going to On the sides of your placement stones, I'm going to put the working stones, the palm stones together. So your placement stones are on one side. You can see the various sizes of the palm stones here. There's many different sizes of palm stones. You can have large palm stones, small palm stones. Anything that fits in your palm of your hand would be an appropriate palm stone. Sometimes you have thicker and thinner palm stones. The thicker ones will retain heat longer. The thinner ones will heat faster, but the heat will also evaporate quicker from the stone. Okay, we have some smaller palm working stones here. And notice how I'm standing them all up so they all fit. And they're not lying on top of each other. So I'm fishing around for them because sometimes you're going to want a very specific size. Those are natural stones. And you can see this one is rusting and pitted. Okay, that's because it is a natural volcanic basalt stone rusting with all that metallic content, but it's still holding lots of heat. Both of these are rusting. That's an ovoline stone with the different gases, the green gases that make up like a green sand beach there. So those are both basalt lava, even though they're not black. Okay. So after I've got all my stones in there, now I have my fishnet. You know what your fishnet is for. That's for your cozy stones. And look at how small the cozy stones are versus a palm stone. Okay, you can probably get 3 cozy stones into one palm stone. Okay, so they're much smaller. And your cozy stones are, again, for areas such as your face, your feet. Your cozy stones, like your palm stones, can be all different sizes as well, different shapes, different thicknesses. Of course, the thicker your cozy stone, the longer it's going to retain heat. Now, I'm going to turn on the water, okay? Hopefully you already have instant hot water. This is your mushroom stone, which I just used today in this training. And how fun is this stone, right? So I'm going to put that in there as well. I'm going to also take my oil, and I'm going to use a couple of bottles of oil because sometimes I leave one on the table. And I've got 2 thermometers. The little tiny thermometer isn't ideal, but that's what we had available during COVID. Okay, and I, of course, have my slotted spoon. All of this I'm going to put into my stone bath. And you notice that I'm not being wasteful with water. I'm actually letting the hot water overrun the pot. Okay, and that's because what happens when you put hot water over these stones is that the room temperature stones, they just absorb that heat and turn that water cold pretty quickly. So if you allow hot water to continuously run over the stones, I think that's sometimes maybe a little bit better than just pouring a kettle in them, because when you pour a kettle in them, a kettle of boiling water in them, the external stone heats very fast, but the core of the stone is not very warm, and it just absorbs the temperature of the water and the water becomes cool. In this case, where you're constantly running hot water, it is a little bit wasteful. Do not do this in areas where you have water conservation. But in this case, where we're running water, and I'm actually using my temperature dials here, and thank goodness I have 2 of them, because one of them, it's already 110 degrees, and the second larger thermometer is not registering. So this is one way to test your thermometers too before you start your hot stone service, because you need 2 working thermometers, not 1 broken or 2 broken ones, right? Okay, so as I'm continually pouring hot water over my stones, I'm dumping the water out because, again, it can be cooled as those stones absorb the heat from the water. Okay, and I'm just continually running that water. And then I might let the stones sit for a minute or 2, pour the water out again. I'm checking their thermometers, making sure that they are registering. If they're not registering, you should not do hot stone massage if you do not have 2 working thermometers in that bath. Okay, don't rely on just 1 thermometer. Keep extra brand new thermometers packaged in the back in case they break, because let me assure you, they do break. Okay, they're smashed around with stones all day in a massage establishment that practices a lot of hot stone. Okay, so that's one thing that you want to have a little bit of extra. They're like $5 to $10, so they're pretty easy to keep extra. So once we have some heat into our stones, and you can run the water a little bit longer if needed. You're just going to simply lift your stones, put it in your pot, cover it with a lid, turn up this, plug your stones in, turn up the temperature, monitor your temperature, and make sure you are always operating in operating range somewhere between 120 to 135 degrees, no hotter Fahrenheit, and keep those stones moving when you are operating and massaging at those temperatures. That's very, very hot. You want to keep the stones in motion and at least until they cool down.